You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 88. Focus is not the F word, with Stefanie Krievins. If you are an entrepreneur who wants actionable solutions to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. I'm looking forward to bringing this episode to you because you're going to meet our guest, Stefanie Krievins. Stefanie focuses her coaching and training practice on workplace cultures that love their people and want them to stay. Her clients are typically leaders who struggle with stalled growth or who have been driving towards a big vision and are now feeling burnt out. She also works with teams struggling through conflict who want to learn how to innovate and grow again. Using solution-focused coaching methods, both individually and groups, find solutions to old problems and design processes that skyrocket their success. When listening in on my conversation with Stefanie, you will discover how to know if you are a professional troublemaker, how to batch your emotional energy as needed, ways to find focus with everything going on in your head, why you need a strategy map, how focus can get you clear on your KPIs, and so much more. But before we dive in and meet Stefanie, I want to take just a minute and let you in on an opportunity to work with me in case you missed it last week. I opened enrollment for my second round of Stop the Entrepreneur Success Solution, and I now have limited spots left. In this virtual group coaching and training program, I will teach you how to leverage yourself, time, organization, and people so that you can stop struggling, stop being overwhelmed, stop being stressed out, stop letting your business run you, stop sitting on the sidelines while others achieve success, and start running a massively successful business and live a life you love. You deserve to run a business you love and are passionate about, one that you want to work in early in the mornings and weekends, but don't have to. You deserve to be happy, fulfilled, and have plenty of quality time with the people you care about. In this 6-month program, we'll cover destination by design, mindset matters, life by choice, health is wealth, freedom to focus, power planner, taskmaster, office space overhaul, digital detox, badass business systems, dream teams, trusted advisory council, your posse, and so much more. Are you ready to get on the fast track to success in the new year? Of course you are, and I want to help you. I want to work with you. So click on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/stop, STOP, to discover what a game changer my group coaching program could be for your business. I know it can make a huge positive impact on your business and you, moving your business from train wreck to full speed ahead. Come on over and claim your roadmap to more freedom, more income, more impact in your life and business with Stop the Entrepreneur's Success Solution. Thank you for listening. And now let's get back to the straight talk and meet Stefanie. Hello, Stefanie. Welcome to Productivity Straight Talk.
Hey, Amber. How are you today?
I'm doing so well. I'm glad to have you on the show and learn more about you. So I just did a little formal intro, but like with any of my guests, I love to hear from their words a little bit about themselves and who they serve and how they serve them. So why don't you share with us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. So I have the ultimate privilege of providing coaching services for people I affectionately call professional troublemakers. And they oftentimes are similar to me, recovering perfectionists, recovering overachievers, trying to do something really meaningful in this world. And in the process of driving for this big impact, they get sideways or wonky with the people that they love, with their colleagues. They lose sight of their goals. They forget to design process that leads to results, or they lose sight of building connections with their own teams. And so they come to see me and we help them recalibrate how they show up so that they can really show up with integrity and authenticity and do something really important.
Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, I didn't know there's somebody out there in the world that could help me. But there was a few points there where you said like overachiever and perfectionist. I am definitely resonate with that. And let's see, we'll call it recovering as well, right? Like I realized one day it does not serve me well at all. It does not serve me, my business well, like none of that. So I'm glad to hear that I'm speaking to another one that totally but you use the verbiage professional troublemaker. So can you share with our listeners and myself, like what is it? What is that not? Like give us some context into that.
Yeah. So earlier this year, I had to come to grips with and really answer the hard question for my business. Who do I serve? What do I do? How do I do it? That's been part of my business journey this year, getting really clear on that. And in the process of that, I landed on the verbiage of professional troublemaker. And I had to own that as my own identity. And I also had to own the fact that in the past, I had been a troublemaker. And here's how I classify a troublemaker in an organization. And I know that all of your listeners, when I describe this, you're going to picture a couple faces in your head. It's the person that when they walk into the meeting, you're like, ugh, who invited her? I do not want to hear her negative Nelly views. It's that person who's pessimistic. They want to break the rules just because, no intent, but just to break the rules, just to be a pain in the butt. They're the devil's advocate. They are the person that just, their energy zaps the room, right? They just deflate a situation. They're probably triggering the leaders within your organization because of the emotional way and even some manipulation that they might use in an organization. And on the flip side of that, and I believe it's really the good intentions of the troublemaker that need to be shaped in order to show up in an effective way, it's the professional troublemaker. So professional troublemakers are optimistic, they're mission focused, they want to talk about changing the rules so that the rules benefit the results, not vice versa. What's that saying about form has to meet function? You just can't have function for the sake of it. They're the person that when they walk into the room, into the meeting, you're like, I'm so glad she's here because her insights are always so valuable.
Yes. You know, it's interesting that you said, and I'm going to describe this and you're probably going to picture people. So there's two people that I absolutely pictured as the troublemakers when I worked corporate, and I loathed being in meetings with them. I hated collaborating with them. I couldn't understand why the company kept them. Like it felt like a cancer, right? Like it was just so much negative. It felt like it made everyone else's job so much more difficult. Now, if I'm completely honest, maybe just possibly that there was times that people perceived me that way. Now, I had no ill intentions, but I was definitely someone later in my career before I left, as I got more confident and, you know, grew in my position, as I would ask questions. I would question everything. So devil's advocate. I never liked hearing the answer, well, because we've always done it that way. I was often looking at ways that my department influenced other people's departments, how their departments influenced mine. And I was often told, just go back to your department. It's all good. Just go back, you know, like go back in your lane.
Yes.
And so now that you described that, potentially I was seen as a troublemaker. Hopefully it was more of a professional troublemaker. I don't know. My question to you is that when someone's a troublemaker, do they know it?
It depends on their level of self-awareness, but usually not. Because the troublemaker is showing up, I believe, oftentimes, again, seeing the good intention behind people, they want to help us plan more thoroughly. They want us to be prepared for the pitfalls. They want us to understand what could go wrong. And so my natural personality style only sees unicorns and rainbows and the awesome possibilities. So you can imagine how me and the troublemaker, we would grate on each other's nerves, I'm sure. But I really believe that they're helping us to see the downside of things so that we can be better prepared when we actually do move forward.
Okay.
And so in order to see the positive in it, and we can use their voice to benefit a project or a situation, but they need help understanding that all that they're communicating is the negative and the downside.
Okay. That clarity, I definitely wasn't the troublemaker. I never came to it as all negative by any means. So that's good. I think mine was more, well, why do we do it that way? Well, why are we going to do it that way? And
Yes.
how do we do it? And stuff like that. And that didn't always, rub people the right way. And I was very, very aware of that. So, okay.
Yeah.
So you definitely, I think it's amazing that you were able to identify yourself and also like how you can help others, right? And so now you got to go out in the world and find those troublemakers that want to become professional troublemakers and help them. I think that's amazing, amazing. Well, Stefanie, I have you on today because I want to talk to you about your favorite F word. Right? Now, do you have a favorite F word? Or I think that you may have a couple, but we're going to talk about one particular today. So what is your favorite F word?
Yes. So I have 3 favorite F words. My favorite one is focus.
Okay. All right. That's awesome. So why is it focus? So why is that your favorite F word?
Yeah. So, and I come to this word the hard way, of course, because we all learn most things the hard way. I am naturally very impulsive. I want to have 47 different projects going on at once. I want to be planning for 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, this afternoon and next week, all at the same time. And as an entrepreneur, part of the entrepreneurial adventure or lifestyle lends itself to that. But I've ultimately found and come to believe that if you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you need to have focus. Because while we all get 168 hours every single week, and there's a lot that can get done, not everything can get done in 168 hours. And so as I watched my business not be successful, I realized that I had to drastically change what I was doing and how I was doing if I wanted to be impactful in this world through my business and through coaching.
Oh my gosh, that was a beautiful example. I think there's so many people that are literally listening to this episode saying, well, wait, Stefanie, that's me. Like I want today and tomorrow and 3 months from now and 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And I have all these dreams. And in fact, I might not even put a date to them, Stefanie. I just have all these ideas, right?
Yes.
Like that is kind of like the entrepreneurial kryptonite. Like I think that it's common, but it can literally kill our businesses and definitely kill our productivity.
Yes.
So how long were you doing that before you realized, oh no, I need focus to succeed?
Yes. So one of the turning points in my business life was about 1.5 years ago. I had 0 sales coming in. I was sitting down for sales calls with everyone under the sun. And I sat down with this very seasoned businessman who helped broker the sale of other businesses. And so he's like, well, tell me a little bit about what you do. And I described it and he goes, so I'm in this sales mastermind and I've really learned how to pitch my business. You should probably join it too. I was like, oh.
Well, I don't know. That could have gone 2 ways. You could have gotten your feelings hurt or maybe you did or you joined the mastermind. So what did you do?
I joined a sales mastermind.
That is awesome. Okay. So that was a great pivotal conversation. And you got to love that he felt comfortable enough to be honest enough with you that probably pivoted you the right, in a direction that really served you well in your business.
Oh, absolutely. I was unbelievably humbled and grateful for that conversation. And I had just met that man 30 minutes before. We discovered we had 30 different connections, so I think it was kind of a safe place. But I think for him too, this was part of his service to the world, right? It was to build amazing business owners. And he knew that if I continued in the way that I was continuing, I would not be an amazing business owner.
Yeah.
So eternally grateful for that conversation. Obviously, probably a moment when my face turned bright red. I'm like, oh crap, I'm really bad at this. And that's okay, right? Like my soul was meant to be a coach, not a salesperson. But if I want to be a business owner, I have to be a salesperson.
Oh my gosh. Say that one more time. Like I was owing over it. I want to make sure that the listeners hear that your soul was born to be a coach and that's like your area of expertise and passion, but it doesn't come natural to you to be a salesperson. And yet you don't get the opportunity to be a coach and serve the world if no one knows about it and you can't tell people and articulate what it is you do.
That's exactly right.
Stefanie, I think that there are so many of us that absolutely can resonate with that. I feel the same way. I have been on my own journey as well. I'm like, keep me in my lane, keep me in productivity, keep me talking or speaking or coaching. And that is my jam. And at some point, that's not enough. Like you outgrow your goals, right? Like I don't know enough people. Enough people don't know about me that it's able to keep up with my goals in my business. So at some point, you got to learn sales and you got to learn marketing and all those other things. And Stefanie, would you agree that we as the entrepreneur need to learn it before we just like delegate it out?
Yes and no. I've heard that wisdom before, and I can see where it exists. Sometimes it's a pure capacity issue, and sometimes we can use other people's capacity to learn for our own business. But with sales specifically, I agree wholeheartedly. Sales is a gift that, especially if you're running a 1, 2, 3 person shop, the business owner, the technical expert, has to be the number one salesperson. Very, very plain and simple.
Yeah. So I want to hear more about some of the things you learned about focus through this sales mastery and, your journey over the last year and a half. But even if I'm going to hire out sales, and I intend to do so, I know I still have to be completely clear about my offerings, about my message, about how I serve. And, someone could help me with sales, but ultimately I'm going to go to a luncheon. I'm going to speak. I'm going to meet somebody face to face, and I have to be able to articulate what my value is. So I think that this is an essential skill set for all business owners. And when we look at it as a skill set, now this is growth mindset versus fixed, saying I'm just not a salesperson. Well, that's a fixed mindset.
Yes.
A growth mindset tells us it's a skill set. Hey, it's going to serve me well, and I'm going to go learn it. And so it sounds like that's what you did. So tell us a little bit more about how focus ended up being the fruit of this sales mastery or mastermind.
Yes. So here's what I've come to learn about focus and productivity through my different roles as a business owner. So as a business owner, I am sometimes a coach. I am sometimes a salesperson. I used to have to sometimes be my own bookkeeper. Thank the good Lord up above. I don't have to do that anymore.
Yes.
Right? I was sometimes my own scheduling assistant. I am sometimes the marketing person. These are all different roles and postures which require very different things from me. And so what I have done in order to create focus for myself is I've created a series of triggers to step into each of those roles. And I don't step into those roles in 5-minute increments or even 30-second increments when I'm answering emails or talking to someone on the phone or sitting across the chairs with a client. I very purposefully step into those roles for significant chunks of time. And so on Monday mornings, I am focused on my own personal development. I meet with a peer group. I am in one role or posture. When I'm in a sales role or posture, I tend to use my calendar to book sales meetings together on Wednesdays and Fridays, and sometimes Monday afternoons if I have to. But that's when I'm in a sales posture. That's when I'm in a role of promoting myself and speaking highly of my work. That takes actually a significant amount of ego to step into that you have to be willing to. That's not at all what I look like or sound like when I'm a coach, because when I'm a coach, I'm much more adaptable. My ego should be gone. I should be judgment free. That's not the same role or posture as a salesperson. And so to help save my own emotional energy, I step into those roles and create very focused tasks and outcomes for each of those postures.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I am hearing that you're batching the emotional energy. You're batching the energy wave that is needed. I guess that's maybe not the right word, but I get that 100%. So I batch my clients on certain days. I batch interviews on certain days. I have sales calls on certain days, because once you're in your flow, it takes less energy than to switch from one to the next, right?
Yes.
And so now this is reserving your energy, like from depleting from going one to the other. But absolutely, based on the schedule, it's forcing you to focus, right? So you shut everything else off other than your sales hat, and then you shut everything off other than your coaching hat.
Yes.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. And so how did you find focus in your messaging? I'm assuming that that's kind of where it rooted from with the sales mastermind, was first finding focus in your messaging so that you can convey that in a very concise way.
Yeah, I am a huge fan of when you don't know what to do, try things until you figure it out. And I'll be honest, me learning how to be a good salesperson was just trial and error and flubbing through different sales pitches, different word choices of, am I a professional troublemaker? Am I a troublemaker? Do I want to help train pain in the asses? What is it? What do I want to use here? You just try it on and see what feels right. And then you'll land on something and you just know it. You're like, oh, this is what I need to say. This is what clicks with the right person when I'm meeting with the right person. And so the other part of working with professional troublemakers is being very clear on, from a demographic perspective, what that person looks like, right? So what role they have, their age range, what their business issues are, what their professional development problems are, etc. And so getting really clear on that and just trying it out. What comes with being willing to try it out is a certain level of bravery and courage to keep putting myself out there, even though it was uncomfortable. Because you can imagine after the meeting with that gentleman that I wasn't feeling especially brave or confident about what I was saying.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes we get feedback and we're like, that person has no idea what they're talking about. But obviously when he said this, you're like, that has a little ringing of truth to it, right? So,
absolutely.
So you were able to take that as constructive criticism and, maybe he didn't mean it that way, but constructively, and then move on. All right. So I am intrigued. You seem like you're pretty structured right now, very focused on, you've got different postures that you're in or energies that you're in. How have you learned to handle all the ideas? You mentioned, I have all these ideas, all of these goals from today, this afternoon, next week. How do you structure that? And how do you find focus with everything that's going on in your head?
Yes. So there's a quote from Alice in Wonderland that says, it's something like, I once had 6 great ideas before breakfast. And I was like, yes, me too. So I've learned to channel it in a couple of ways. One is I've channeled my need for variety and novelty and newness into my house projects. So my husband and I live in a 100-year-old home. There is always things to be done in that 100-year-old house. And so I've channeled that need there. So I'm the person who I buy a new shower curtain once a year just because I want a new shower curtain and I want something new to look at in the bathroom. So having that awareness of what I need by way of variety has been one of the greatest lessons in this life, because not everyone has that need for variety like I do or you might. So we all need to understand what our pace is for newness in our kind of in our own wiring.
Yeah. Okay. So you identified a need that you had that was being filled in a way that wasn't serving you in your business.
Yes.
And so you gave yourself permission to go buy shower curtains. I love this.
Yes, I know. It sounds so basic, but I cannot tell you how much it just makes me happy. Or just a new shirt every once in a while. Or, anything kind of new just feeds me and makes me happy. And so I could have given into the entrepreneurial myth of, the best entrepreneurs are moving at 170 miles an hour every single day. I could have given into that myth, but I don't believe that serves us as human beings. So I channeled that need for newness to my house projects. And then the way I personally manage myself is I have a Post-it note at the start of every single day of the 3 things that must get done that day. And it could be a task and it could be an advancement on a project. But I always start with that. And then if it's something that's more tasky, I put it in my CRM. I use my CRM as both a contact management system as well as a project management system because it has both capabilities.
Everyone listening is like, what does she use? They love apps.
I love Insightly CRM. Yeah. It has great functionality to track some of your marketing, your contacts, your leads, your open proposals, closed proposals, and then it can become a project. So once it's a project, you can use it as a project management functionality. And all of my internal business admin is turned into a project to help me focus on what needs to get done for the business every single year.
Yeah, that's great. I have a few clients on Insightly. It has workflows you can create, and
Yes.
it really works well with G Suite as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
You probably have G Suite. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
and
excellent.
it connects to my accounting software too. That's fun.
Okay, there you go. I love the workflow. Okay, so where do you identify what your three main things are each day? How do you create that laser of focus?
Yes. So I have an annual work plan first I have an annual strategy map. And so on my strategy map, and I'd encourage you guys to Google a strategy map. For those of you who don't like traditional strategic planning, a strategy map is a more creative way to visualize your goals. And it comes at 4 different levels. One is your financial success, your client segments and experience, your internal processes, and then your own learning and growth. And so that sets my focus for the entire year. And my 2018 learning and growth goals were, what does it take to be a paid public group coaching program person? Like, how do I offer that? Mm-hmm. What does it take to sell my 6-month programs? Because I reformatted my programming at the end of the year. And most importantly, what does it take to have really effective marketing tactics? So those were my learning goals for this year. And so then I backed up all my processes in order to learn that and connected it to my financial goals for the company.
Okay, that seems really clear for me. By asking the question, it's almost saying like, what if? Like, you're just opening it up as an open conversation, because there could be endless possibilities. And so yes. I assume asking that question then bubbles up opportunities, and then you determine what of those you're going to take. Because there could be 100 different ways to figure out how to sell your 6-month course. But just asking that question, exploring the answers, and then selecting one and going after it. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. And just to be clear, the financial goal really is at the top of the priority. Mm-hmm. And so what I've identified is, in order to get this financial goal, what does that mean per month? What does that mean in open opportunities? And in order to have, what I've learned is that for my business, I need 50% of my revenue goals as open opportunities for the entire year at any one time. So I need 50% of my total revenue goal in open proposals that I've pitched, in order to be on track for my entire sales goal for the entire year. In order to have 50% of my revenue goal in open proposals, I need 20 meetings a month. And so every single week, I'm saying to myself, how am I going to get 20 sales or networking meetings this month? So that turns into basically 5 meetings a week. So how am I working on getting that as a way to focus on my sales?
Yes. Okay. You literally just backed it down. Now I'm flowing with you because I do something very similar. So I am literally flowing with you from your goal is at the top of say a pyramid at the top of the page. Then you have your strategy, and your strategy breaks down to action items. Your action items break down either monthly or weekly, even daily. And then I'm assuming they're on your calendar, and you have KPIs. So you're tracking where you're at of your 20. So if I asked you right now, it's the 22nd. You don't have to answer this. But if I asked you, I'm sure you have the answer. I know I have X amount out of 20 conversations. So you're always measuring yourself so that it's allowing you to stay laser focused.
That's right.
And then now everything you're tweaking. So whether it's how many podcast episodes you're on, how many speaking events you're doing, how many network events you're doing, you're tweaking that because that's the input into your 20 conversations a month, right?
That's right. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is great. And thank you for the opportunity to breaking this down for my listeners, because it is such a focused way of going about it. Because no longer does Stefanie need to be worrying about, XXX income, which can be so overwhelming at whatever that is for any of us. You're literally like, I'm not worrying about that. All I'm worrying about is it on my calendar to have 5 conversations this week? And that's something that Stefanie can control. So if Stefanie can control that and she's taking those actions, it's probably a lot less stressful of getting to that XXXX number in your business, right?
That's right. Yeah, because the revenue goal for the year is way too overwhelming to think about hitting it constantly. It's like, because what you do is you focus on that number. You're like, I don't know what to do. And you get paralyzed. When you break it down, you can create clear action steps. And I want to pause that thought for just a second, because I know there are some new business owners listening thinking, well, but I don't know what that percentage is. And I don't know how to get to that number. And I don't know what the right action steps are. And here's your answer. Just guess. Just guess and move forward and take the next best step, and you will figure it out. I'm
Yes.
5 years in, y'all. It took me 4 years to figure this out. You don't have to have the answers today.
Yes. And so, Stefanie, what you're talking about is conversion rate. So if you talk to 20 people, let's say your conversion rate is, I'm just throwing stuff out there, but say 70%. Okay.
Yep.
So with my clients, I say, okay, I'm going to give you a conversion rate of 70%. Until you prove me wrong.
Yes.
So let's just go with that. Let's work
Yes.
hard enough that your conversion rate, so 30% of the people you talk to are a no-go, wrong client, wrong demographic, like whatever. They don't like you, you don't like that.
Yep.
But let's just say you have to do it first before you can get data and insights. So then now if you're doing it long enough, we'll come back and we'll say, oh, actually, Jane, your conversion rate is 50%. Now that data gives you insights to say, so if my conversion rate is 50%, why do I think that's the case, right? Mm-hmm. And the case could be a few things, but it really boils down to, well, maybe you need sales mastermind, right? Like to learn your scripting, and what's your sales pitch. So maybe it's you and you're going to own it, or it's your marketing and you're attracting the wrong people. Maybe it's a combination of both, but literally that conversion rate and not liking it now really focuses it. Focus. I love it. The F word. Down to a few things that it could be that are affecting that. Instead of what you were saying is literally like, well, I don't know what it is and I don't know where to start. And I'm going to echo your words, Stefanie, because I would have said the same thing, is just make your right next step. Mm-hmm. Because your next right step will unfold the next right step if you're listening and you pause and you collect the data and the insights from that step. So nobody knew. I didn't know. I mean, I could have an entire show on Amber's bloopers of how I, grew my business.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And
same here.
And I think that if any entrepreneur is very honest, it's the truth. And this is a side note, but I'll give this as an example. Like Friday night, it was date night. I was all excited. We're going on a motorcycle ride. My husband and I are literally laying in bed. An hour and a half later, we're like, are we going? Because we had a babysitter. We're like, oh my gosh, neither one of us is feeling good. We're like, no, we are not wasting date night. Okay. So we go, I take the photo. It's on Instagram. Everything looks good. He and I literally with dinner and a bike ride made less than 90 minutes. But what nobody saw on Instagram was that I was puking my brains up the entire next day, right? And so I'm telling you this because you don't see everyone's reality, on social media. Right. And you're trying to compare somebody else's life or success to what you really know is going on. And now I would have loved to share the honesty. I'm doing it now. But what picture was I going to post on social media to tell you what was really going on that next day? He and I both got so sick.
Yes. Thank you for the first one, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah. And so I guess that was just a roundabout way of saying you cannot even possibly know what somebody else's business is or isn't because you're trying to compare, I don't even know what to say, like how they're putting themselves out in the world to your, the realities of the day by day. So that's why I'm having honest conversations with people like Stefanie about we did not know all the right ways. And it took trying and falling and skidding our knees and getting back up and feeling sometimes that we were, running in circles or, not getting anywhere. But at some point, there's enough of that gets you the clarity needed to focus down on the right things.
Yes.
That was my rant. Thanks, Stefanie, for letting me do that with you. You seem like the perfect person to do that with.
I love that rant.
Yeah. And so I've been in business similar. It's 6 years. So you said 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone is on their own journey. I wish that I was as focused as I am now early on. Mm-hmm. And I was focused. But again, I remember thinking as focused as I wasn't sure what to focus on.
Yes.
And Stefanie, I think we've addressed this a roundabout way, and I'll just drop the link in the show notes, but I have a whole podcast about productivity and profitability. And I'm sharing this because Stefanie, you shared this already. I believe that our most productive use of our time is either in marketing, visibility. So that's something you're working on. Yes. Sales, because I think that even if we're delegating that, we need to.
Yes.
Servicing our clients. And Stefanie, you're like, I just want to service my clients. And I think we all agree with that. I don't know about you, Stefanie, but what gets me up and gets me excited is serving my clients, right?
Yes.
Like not technically sales or marketing until I realized I only get to do that if I'm really good at the other two things.
Absolutely.
And then the last one, the other bucket is leadership. So once we're not the ones doing our own marketing and our own sales and even maybe delivering our services, how do we leadership and manage other people? So if you want to know more about that, I will link it to the show notes. But Stefanie, you perfectly said that. And I don't even think you listened to that episode. So good job. We're on the same page.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So let's get back to you. So focus. So focus has helped you have your 3 high value activities each day.
Yes.
Focus has allowed you to get so clear on your key performance indicators, which means your job, Stefanie, is to have 5 conversations a week, 20 a month. And the only way you were able to do that was to get really clear about your sales goals, right?
Yes.
Okay, this is excellent. Where else have you found that focus has really helped you in your business and or personal life?
I find focus to be really helpful. And this is an oldie, but it's one because I'm naturally made to be distracted. Do one thing at a time. Thank God the conversation is starting to happen around multitasking as a myth. Our brains were not made to multitask. And it sounds unbelievably simple, but when I sit down to focus on one client activity, creating a training manual for one training, or today sending out an invoice that needed to attach like 5 different receipts, that invoice was done in 5 minutes. And given my natural tendencies, it probably easily could have taken 20 minutes. And so that's a difference between knocking out 10 high-value activities in an hour versus 3 and having 19 tabs open and trying to do it all. But by focusing on one activity and remaining in that posture that I need to be in for that activity, it knocks down the amount of time it takes to do something by 75%. And that's not a validated stat. That's a Stefanie stat.
I love the Stefanie stat. That sounds about accurate. I'm going to confirm Stefanie's stat. For any of you that are totally stat people, don't hate us right now because you're probably waiting for us to drop some real stats. But yes. I totally get it, Stefanie. We have talked about so much today. I love that you ended it with, literally in the actual doing of the task is to find focus. And that, yes, like multitasking is such a temptation.
Yes.
I slip back to it. I realize that I'm doing it when I feel stressed and overwhelmed, or I look around and I'm like, whoa, this isn't my ideal workspace. Like something just happened and I slipped back into the temptation of multitask. So literally finding focus, Stefanie, you in the last year and a half have found focus all the way down to your daily specific tasks,
yes,
all the way up to your annual goal and how you're going to convey your message to the world. And congrats. Like, I'm sure that feels like amazing. And it would be my favorite word too, if I accomplished all that. So good job. All right, Stefanie, it has been my pleasure having you on today. And if our listeners want to find out more about you, where can they reach you and find out more about what you're doing in the world?
Yeah, so visit my website, StefanieKrievins.com. And I know there'll be a link in the show notes because I just spell my name funny. So we need a little help there. I encourage you, go there and take my hot mess quiz. So go and see, where do you have order in your life? Where do you have chaos as it relates to your big goals? And it will help you sort it out.
Oh my gosh, hot mess. Yes, that sounds amazing. Okay, yep. So we will have, again, she said it, but I will let you know what the show link notes are in the outro. Stefanie, thank you so much. This was such a treat. I really enjoyed our conversation. And for those of you that are listening, there's lots of you, Stefanie and I don't know each other, but yes, I have a feeling.
Now we do now.
Yeah, exactly. I have a feeling that you and I are going to be jamming out probably a little more frequently. It's not always that I have someone on the show that I don't know that I felt like I really connected with you. And that only serves my audience. And so, Stefanie, thank you so much for investing your time with us today. It has been my pleasure.
Oh my gosh, the pleasure is all mine. I have tears in my eyes. I'm so happy about this.
That's awesome. Thank you. So there you have it. Wasn't that a great conversation with Stefanie? Focus does not need to be a 4-letter word. In fact, if I have to be a little honest with you, I think that we're all striving for more focus in our business and life. I have loved having you listen to this episode of Productivity Straight Talk, but I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on what you heard today, based on my conversation with Stefanie, what will you take action on? Was there an aha, a breakthrough, a thought, or a true actionable from my conversation? I want you to think about what that is for you right now. And I want you to commit to taking action. When will you take action if not now? This podcast was not created for you to just sit back, drink a cup of coffee, go on a walk, and just consume information. That doesn't help us. Information without action is the most unproductive use of your time. So, since we can both agree that you're here to improve your productivity, I want you to take a moment and identify what action you will take based on today's episode. I would love for you to share your actionables and receive support and guidance, motivation from other entrepreneurs just like you. Join us on the inside of the Productivity Straight Talk private Facebook community. If you're already a Productivity Straight Talk insider, go ahead and jump on inside and declare your actionable. If you're not already a member, you can join us for free by going to productivitycommunity.com. Again, that's productivitycommunity.com. I would like to thank you for your continued support in being a loyal listener of Productivity Straight Talk and sharing it with your fellow entrepreneurs. I appreciate you sharing when you feel like it's a great episode that can help someone else. In just about any podcast player, there is a little button that will allow you to share. And you can share it on social media, you can share it in a direct email or a message to a friend. I have a special thank you going out to Tracy Human, who recently said, "Great content on Productivity Straight Talk. I feel like Amber is speaking directly to me." Thank you so much, Tracy. I really do work very hard to bring content that I think is absolutely geared towards my ideal listener, ideal client. And the reason it sounds like I'm talking directly to you is because I am so intimately aware of the challenges that you have and how to solve them. And I'm so happy that's coming through in each episode. And before we close out, just as a reminder, if you have not already done so, head on over to theproductivityspecialist.com/stop, STOP, to check out how you can work with me in my group coaching and training program. So that's my straight talk for you today. And until next time, have a productive week.